All right, today we're going to dive into something really special. We're exploring the quiet, strange, and honestly pretty profound world of the novel Solaris Café. It's this amazing story about, of all things, a coffee shop that just happens to be floating at the very edge of human understanding. So, let's start with this quote, because really, it's everything. The ocean does not ask to be understood, it asks only to be near. Right there, that's the whole philosophy. This isn't going to be a story about cracking a code or solving some grand mystery. No, it's about something much harder, learning how to live with the mystery. This one sentence, it's the key to the whole shebang. Okay, so where does all this happen? Let's get our bearings. Okay, so picture this. You've got this little orbital station floating in space, and it used to be, a big deal. A buzzing research facility, scientists everywhere, all trying to figure out this bizarre planet below. But now, well, now it's just a cafe. Yeah, a quiet little cafe with mismatched chairs, the smell of good coffee, and this one absolutely massive window looking out at something, well, something totally impossible. And the person running this whole operation is Noor. She's the long-term director, and her personal journey, which you can see here, is basically the story of the station itself. She shows up as this eager junior analyst, ready to measure and analyze everything. But fast forward almost 30 years, and she's become something completely different. Not a researcher, but a philosopher, a witness. She's basically the living memory of this place. And a huge piece of her story is just learning to live with things that make no sense. Stuff just appears out of nowhere. Like one morning, there's this gorgeous old-fashioned coffee grinder on the counter from a city she's never even been to. And what does she do? She doesn't run 100 tests on it. She just uses it to make coffee. And that right there, that's the ethos of the cafe in a nutshell. You don't solve the mystery, you accept it. So that coffee grinder? Yeah, that's just the tip of the iceberg. Which brings us to the main event, really. The central phenomenon of this whole story. The reason people travel from all over to visit this little cafe. What the ocean gives. You see, the ocean down there, it's not just an ocean. It gives things to people. These manifestations, as they're called. And it's not some flashy magic trick, poof, and something appears. No, it's slower, more like a memory, slowly taking shape, becoming real, until an object from way, way back in your past is just sitting there on the table. There's this amazing example with a visitor named Esperanza. She's just having a coffee, minding her own business, when she sees this book on her table. A little, faded, cloth-covered children's book. And she realizes it's her book, the one she lost as a child, the one her mom read to her every night. And the ocean, it just gave it back. And it's not just books, not by a long shot. We see all sorts of things show up. A tiny sewing thimble, a single child's shoe. For one botanist who spent his whole life fighting extinctions, a single flower that's been extinct for centuries. You see the pattern, right? They're always small, always deeply, incredibly personal. And usually they're tied to some kind of deep loss, or a part of yourself you thought was gone forever. So what's going on here? Well, Noor's big theory is that the ocean isn't some kind of cosmic genie granting wishes. She calls it a respondent, and that's a key distinction. It doesn't give you what you think you want. It gives you something that reflects who you truly are, especially the parts you've hidden, even from yourself. Which, of course, brings us to the billion-dollar question, the one that got this whole research station built in the first place. So, what is this ocean? Is it conscious? Is it alive? Is it thinking? I mean, what are we even looking at here? First off, let's get one thing straight. This isn't an ocean on a planet like we have on Earth. The ocean is the planet, the whole thing. A giant, world-sized sphere of liquid. I mean, just try to wrap your head around that. We literally have no frame of reference for something like this. And when someone asks Noor if it's conscious, she has this perfect answer. She says, basically, that the question itself is the problem. Asking if that is conscious is like trying to cram the entire sky into a shoebox. Our definition is the thing that's too small, not the ocean. And this is where everything turns on its head. The whole point is to stop trying to test it, to stop trying to analyze it. The fact that you can't measure it, that it defies all our tests, that isn't a failure. Noor believes that is the answer. The inability to know is the point. And that leads us to the real heart of the book, the philosophy that's grown out of decades of just watching. the philosophy of not knowing. I love this breakdown of Noor's core idea. Think about it. An explanation solves a mystery, right? It's the end of the road. You get the answer, you're done. But a language lets you keep going. It lets you live inside the mystery. And that's the goal here, not to find the answer, but to find a way to live with the question. And the best way to see this in action is through this character, Thomas. He's a philosopher, so of course he shows up looking for answers. He sits there for days, notebook totally empty, getting more and more frustrated trying to figure it all out. And then the ocean gives him something, a clock from his son's desk. His son, who passed away. And in that moment, everything changes. He puts the notebook down, he stops analyzing, and he just starts being there. And this is what he finally writes in that notebook. It's maybe the most important line in the book. What has changed is not my knowledge. What has changed is my relationship to not knowing. Wow. The breakthrough wasn't learning something new. It was learning how to be okay with not knowing. That became the whole point. So let's wrap this up. What is the Solaris Café then? What's its final purpose? Well, it's definitely not a research station anymore. They're not collecting data for some scientific paper. It's been officially redefined as a sustained observation post. And get this, the observation itself is the goal, not what you learn from it. Just the act of being present, of paying attention. That's the whole reason for it to exist. So what can we take away from this place? I think it's about the simple, profound value of just being present, of paying attention to something without demanding an answer from it. It's about finding the wisdom in living inside a question instead of always chasing a solution. And maybe the most beautiful idea of all, that the best relationships, the most honest ones, aren't about trying to completely understand another person, but about learning to be okay with the distance and just being near them. And that leaves us with one last question to chew on, a question the book asks us directly. We live in a world that is just obsessed with answers, with data, with explaining everything away. So, what's the ocean in your life? What's that one thing, a person, a memory, a feeling, that doesn't actually need to be solved or understood? What is it that's just asking to be near?